Okay, so let's have a little look at XRP. So you can see this blue line here. As you can see that, just you can see the divergence was broke. We got a breakdown yesterday. Breakdown out of this small consolidation range here, and we've hit the level of, it came down to 37.29. Again, hitting off the center line of this channel here. Yeah. So now we got to look at what's the play of it at the moment. Yeah. So it looks like it's doing a bit of a consolidation, and the question is have we bottomed out and we're going to pop back up, or are we going to continue on down? Yeah. So one of the things I just want to point out is that on the EMAs, on the 4 hour, again we have a crossover here and a bit of a spill. Yeah. And again, you could say that it was triggered here on the 1 hour as well. Yeah. So potentially a back test to the 55, and then equally you can see the spill on the 4 hour. Yeah. So when I zoom out, you can see this triangle here with this level of support from here. So you've got the 1, 2, 3, and here's the 4th touch. So potentially we get the back test to the 55 on the 4 hour here, and that would give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then possibly 6 back down here. Yeah. We got to see whether it will do the back test or will it spill. Yeah. So one of the things I'm going to point out is here, and I'm looking at this previous spill here. Yeah. So you can see around here that this is on the 1 hour is the 50 EMA, and the 200, the red one is the pinky red is the 200 EMA as well. Yeah. So you got the 50 crossing over, you get the 50 crossing over here. Yeah. So now the interesting part is this peak here coincides with a high peak on the RSI. You can see the RSI goes high here. Yeah. So now you can see that equally is on this one. Again, the RSI. Just copy one of these. Here we go. Actually, this is the 4 hour. My apologies. Let me go to the 1 hour first. I'm going to say the same thing, but on the 1 hour. Yeah. You can see on the 1 hour here. Again, the RSI goes really high. Breaks this red line here. Yeah. Now we didn't get that on this one here. What we got is it going close to the orange line twice, like a double top in the RSI. But what we did get is a serious drop to the orange line down below here. And equally, on this one, when it hits the top, when it hits the orange line here, excuse me, when it hits the orange line here, it doesn't do that too often. Yeah. But you can see what happened. You can see what happened here after that. Yeah. So the question is are we in a similar scenario here? Are we heading for that bigger spill? Yeah. So what it looks like on the hourlies, it looks like there's a reversal due, and I'll show you now. Yeah. I'll go through this one first here. Yeah. So you can see, look the 4 hour, when it bottoms out here, is the 1 hour is down low. Yeah. Equally, the 4 hour stock RSI is look, it's at the bottom down here as well. Yeah. Now that's on the 1 hour, but watch when we go to the 4 hour, in the same place in the chart. Here is, look, there's the 4 hour bottoming out. Is actually, there it is. There it breaks below the oversold. Yeah. Now in the same part of the chart here, in the same part of the chart here. There's the 4 hour RSI breaking into the oversold. Look, the 4 hours doing the same here. Now the point I'm trying to make is that when it does it here, look, there's a little lift, and look, it actually sets up a much bigger spill. Equally, the stock is floored here, and also the stock is floored here. The stock RSI is floored on the 4 hour. So, okay. Well, now when we go to the 12 hour, and this is the more important part I'm pointing out here, is when you start looking at the 4 hour, you go, look, it needs a breather. We're going to say the same, but the 12 hour is when you start to look at the drop. I'm going to zoom this, stretch this out a little bit here. Yeah. You can see that the 12 hour here on the RSI is, and then look, you get this initial drop that starts to take it down. Yeah, we're in a similar position here. As look, you get that drop. So you see that initial drop here onto the 200 on this one, and we're breaking below it here. So now the question is potentially we could be getting a back test. We get a back test like we got here, and it sets up a much bigger drop on the RSI. So the 12 hour RSI went pretty deep here. So we're still in that same position with the RSI. When we look at this, the stock RSI, again we can look at that and go, look, it's starting to bottom out here. There's not much more to go, but look at those last few 12 hours. There was a big drop here. So from the peak here to the bottom here was a 38% drop. Yeah. So this 12 hour over here on the stock could keep going. It could keep going. Yeah. So on the daily, when we look at it on the daily. Now this is I'm just sampling one part, but this is where there was in this consolidation cycle. Here's the peak. We have a drop. We have a lift. And potentially we're coming to the end of this consolidation cycle and potentially a breakout. I'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah. So now on the daily, look, we have this peak, and then it turns and it starts to head down. Yeah. So now if you look where this started, is on the daily here. You have this peak here, tops out here, floats along, drops below the center line. You get a little lift up, and then it comes for the big drop down. Yeah, where here, again on the RSI, then this was a bearish divergence, but on the RSI, you see a peak. It starts to drop, peak and a drop, starts to float along. Is this one here doesn't go as low. This one goes lower, and look, we get this sideways floating all along on a lift. Where you could say on this one here, you get the lift and then the floating along. So same. So it's possible that we already have had this lift. We've got this sideways. We've already had this lift, and that potentially we're now heading into the daily RSI heading for the bottom. Yeah. And on the stock, you can see that we had hit the center line on the stock, and then it dropped for the big drop. Where here we're more at the closer to the top, and you can see it's turn and it's starting to head down. Yeah. So on the earlier time frames, the RSIs and the stock RSI, everything looks like it's bottoming out and it's due a turn. And this is the information that we had here, but yet it didn't. It just spilled. It just dropped. So that's really what I'm trying to say, is we could be in for that bigger correction down. Yeah. Now will it do a lower low? If it's going to continue down, will it do a lower low, or will we just get a correction of this lift, and we come down and we hit the 3160, 31, in between 3160, 31 or so, we could get, potentially, we could just get that correction back to 0.5, and then again, possibly we get the turn here, and then we could get the breakout and breaking out to the top. Yeah, because that's what happened here. Is you can see this lift. Here's the correction. Here's the 0.5, You get a 786 of this, and then a turnaround, and up it went. So breaking up is still very much on the cards. Possibly we need to have this correction. We have this lift, and then I think maybe when we get the 786 correction of this, we could be getting our proper decision then about the end of this consolidation cycle here, on whether we're going to have the break up or the breakdown. Yeah. So something to be mindful of. Yeah. I had thought that potentially we could be getting this. We still have this lift to go. Yeah. And that's why I'm picking this pivot candle here. I think that might have been the lift already. So we got 1 top, 2 top, and 3 top, and we have our 1, 2, 3 here. This still might want to come up and have a bounce off the 200 here at 41.20 or so. We still might turn around and get that pump up before the dump. But I think when I look at the RSI, and the stock on the different time frames, it's telling me that we've already had this lift and we're heading down. Because look, we've had our top. Remember, we've had our top here. We've had our top here. What are we on the 4 hour? Yeah. We've had our top here. Is when you look at it on the 1 hour, again, there's our top here, and there's our double top here already. So it's sort of indicating that when you get a dump like this, down to the orange line here, it could be an indication that it's triggering for a much bigger dump. So the RSIs seem to be, and the stocks seem to be indicating that. So that's what I'm thinking. So then, if it is the case, it's just a question of on the 4 hour, what is this price action going to do? Are we just getting a bit of sideways here for a drop, or are we going to come back up and do a bit of a back test to the 50 before we go? Yeah, I'll give you an example of what I mean here. Like, we could be here, a little lift and a drop. We might get another drop, and then look, we get that closer back test to the 50. So we may be due, even if it drops down a little bit more, a higher lift back up closer to the 50 here as a bit of a back test. Yeah, we may be due that somewhere along the way. Yeah, so it's a challenge about where to find the entry at the moment. I think it just needs to be watched a little bit more. Yeah, so don't be surprised if there is another drop down, and if there is then expect maybe a much stronger lift up before the next move down. Yeah, if we put that on the 1 hour, what would that look like? Yeah. If you look at this movement as it's playing out now, to be honest, it's a bit doing that at the moment. Yeah. If you look at that, the way that's playing out here, you get the drop, you get a high lift, bunch of sideways. We're in this sideways at the moment. It looks like it's going to spill. We get a drop, and look, we get one final push back up to the 50, get a rejection, and then down it comes. At the moment, and again, look, it's all much more micro play here. Again, you can see the drop doing the sideways. Now the question is that on the hour, will we get that back test to the 50 before potentially getting the drop? So I'll be watching out for that to see if that happens. Yeah, so looking at this chart from this level here, we've had our close to 5% breakout, our breakdown, and possibly we could be coming down, hitting our 10% here around 35.20 or so. Yeah, taking us down to the bottom of the channel here. Yeah, and if we wanted to go further, and again, yesterday I was pointing out about a drop and a back test. Yeah, so we may be we may be getting a lift back to about 35, 38, 35, which is where the 55 EMA is on the hourly, yeah, and then possibly our move down, possibly. This may also bottom out and do one final pump before it comes down, but let's follow the pathway here at the moment, yeah. So we're looking at the bottom of this channel, and then possibly we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lift here, back test maybe this blue line here. This, you can see this consolidation range here, a back test of it, and then we have a breakdown of this channel. And again, this could be taking us down around the 32 mark. And again, that would be, if we put the fibs on from the bottom, or from the top to the bottom here, taking us down to the 786 again, around 31.76. So that could be the scenario that we're looking at here, yeah. And then after that, as I was saying, we get our lift, we get our correction, possibly a back test to the 0.5 or so. We get a correction of that possibly, and then we could be up or we could be down, yeah. So now we got to see what that wants to do. Is the 0.5 here would be, so I'll do that again just so you can, with the fibs on, yeah. So down to the 786, a possible back test to the 0.5, could even go to the 382 with the 0.5 generally. We'll get a correction of that, and then I think we'll get our possible answer there, yeah. So let's see what happens there, yeah. Okay, so we just got to see what this wants to do here. Possibly we get a lift 38, 30 or so, yeah. I'm looking at maybe a one final little lift up to here, and then we get our move down. So let's see what happens, yeah. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.